Did Joe Budden release another podcast besides the one that I listened to, yo? I listened to a 30-minute clip that he posted that says what happened with Spotify on his YouTube, which has far less subscribers than my YouTube. But let's not compare. Let's not compare, guys. Let's not compare. Let's not compare. Listen, very successful in his own right, my son. Very successful in his own right. No, my son is very successful in his own right. You know, I can help him out with this YouTube game if he wants, but it's all good. It's all good. So, and I thought, Al, I thought that I was being incredibly fair. I complimented him. I complimented his listenability. I complimented his ability to garner an audience, and I complimented the connectivity that he has with his fans. My criticism came from a fundamental lack of understanding of corporate dynamics and how they do try to own you. I thought we articulated that. Where's the pushback, Al? Because everybody in the comments were like, y'all didn't listen to shit. And so many people said that. I was like, maybe we didn't listen to everything, bro.
What I heard is there's a video clip that my homies checked out when they were talking to me about it. And he left out, like, for example, the watch thing I brought up. Somebody was like, I can't believe Spotify tried that watch shit. And I was like, but he wanted a watch. And they were like, whoa, really? I didn't hear that in the clip I listened to. Where is it? I had to go find it in the audio that he said, hey, I'll take this watch. And then they said no. Because my point was like, all right, if you're upset at the watch, just say no to the watch if it's that offensive. And they were like, yo, that he never said yes to it. He said no to it. And I was like, we listened to different clips.
Because the original podcast, when he first talked about it, he spoke on it for a really long time.
More than a half hour?
Yes.
It was about an hour.
So
well, I think that's on him for just saying.
Yeah.
He released a half-hour clip of it.
So maybe that's why you
and maybe that's where our disconnect is. Maybe some things were left out of that clip. For example, me saying, oh, you're going to offer me a Rolex? Okay, I'll take a Rolex. And then they still said no. But.
And this also might be, you know, when you have very, very strong fans of a person, and whenever someone speaks out against that person, they just say, oh, you're dumb for not agreeing with whatever my fandom.
Let me tell you something. I realized Joe Budden clearly is a lot more popular than we realized because our comments are wildly negative on this one.
I try to tell you.
No, and I said it, I think, in the piece. Like, he's garnered intense fans, which is amazing, and that's credit to him. I just, from what I read in the clip that listened to in the clip that he posted, I saw a fundamental lack of understanding of how corporations operate. That's just what I saw. Now, his criticism of corporations is accurate. And I now understand, I didn't understand this prior, but not because of Joe Budden, because of something else, but I now understand why you often hear the slave analogy used when it comes to like athletes and like the owners of the teams. Like they go.
You're not realizing that?
Well, here's the thing. I never realized it before for this reason. I was like, well, you can't be a slave if you're getting paid millions of dollars.
And you wanted to do it.
And you want to do it, and it's your choice, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought that was like insulting to what slaves went through. It's like, why would you compare, you know, what you're doing, playing a sport and getting paid millions of dollars compared to like these people who are like forced into servitude for their entire life? And like those things are fundamentally different. Mm-hmm. Here is the connectivity. Being owned.
They do own you. That's what I was going to say. They do own you. They pay a lot to own you, and the money goes to you, but they own you.
They own you, and that lack of freedom. When we equate, what do we think of with slavery? Lack of freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that lack of freedom, we jump to slavery. Now, when we think about slavery, we go, black people getting whipped and, you know, forced to do these horrible tasks, etc. That's way different than a sport. But the idea of corporations, this goes back to our conversation about like trying to like carve out the moat so they don't have to innovate. Mm-hmm. The idea behind these corporations is I want to own you.
They carve out the moat so you trapped in that fucking house.
You trapped in that house. You trapped in that castle. I want to own
Beautiful
you.
castle.
Beautiful castle.
You ain't going nowhere.
Nowhere. Better like the view. That's what it is. So
You got so excited to go onto the island, you didn't realize they put up that drawbridge and they stuck you in that motherfucker.
Stuck. So here's the thing. I understand now where it's coming from. I think the word slave should never be used. Just because, in the same way that I think the word like privilege should never be used. Like white privilege, just don't use the word. Like it's not a privilege that I don't get shot by the cops. That's what it should be. So stop talking about what should be normal for black people as a privilege, because then nobody will be on your side to support it. If you go, yo, I want normal, then white people will go, well, yeah, y'all deserve normal.
Yeah.
But when you tell people they're privileged, everybody got shit in their life they don't like. Dad's dying of cancer, you gonna tell me I'm privileged or something like that. Not me personally, but like then white people are like, well, fuck you for that. It shouldn't be a privilege, but it should be bare minimum. We should all be at bare minimum get that.
But that's why we say white privilege, because we don't even get the
He's just talking from a marketing aspect. If you're trying to get, we understand, you're right. He's just saying marketing wise, when you say that to white people who are struggling, they hear their privilege and they're like, no, I'm not privileged.
Yeah.
And then they push back. Whereas there might be more, if you're just like, yo, we don't get basic human rights. They'd be like, oh, that's fucked up. Y'all don't get, I get basic human rights. My life sucks, but I get basic human rights. That sucks. Y'all don't get that.
Like,
it's just
you see what I'm
marketing.
saying? Like it's a privilege compared to what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
But I would argue what you're experiencing should not be the normal.
Yeah.
It should not be what you're promised by the Constitution. You're underprivileged.
Yeah.
You need to boost that up to regular.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there are people who have privilege. Billionaires' kids, me. You know what I mean? I'm 6'2". I have both my parents. Like these things you could argue are privilege, 100%. But I guess my point is like that little marketing thing. I wish we could switch. Like I wish I could like sit down with like BLM or all these people like the left and just be like, yo, get that out of here. Stop talking about like that. Because I really do believe there are like a lot of decent white people out there. It's like, yo, I don't want people to get less than the constitutional rights they deserve. Like, let's fuck. Yo, what are we doing out here?
A lot of people are already angry with how their lives are. And if you're telling them they're privileged, that angry part of them is like, fuck you, I'm privileged. What are you talking about? I'm privileged.
Very good at communicating.
So
that was brilliant. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they're just angry. And then if they feel like their life sucks, and then if you tell them they're privileged, that part of them is angry and insecure. It's like, yo, fuck you, I'm not privileged. I got this, and this. If you're like, yo, we don't get basic human rights, they'd be like, oh, my life sucks, but y'all don't get basic human rights. Fuck.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to the corporate thing. So they want to own you, man. And it's like, let's take away the word slavery, but talk about being owned. You don't have the freedom to operate as you want to operate.
Yeah.
I understand it now. And I understand it even if you're an athlete that's getting paid $30 million a year. But you're making that company $1 billion a year and you don't have the freedom to go make up that other shit. You feel owned. If you're an NCAA athlete, right? You don't have the free. Now you do, but before you didn't have the freedom to make money off your likeness, but they can make billions of dollars off of you. I can understand how you feel owned. Yes, you're signing up to be owned.
To that point, Joe said his smallest check was Spotify. So you're feeling like I'm making you billions. You're paying me less than everybody else. I make you the most. Emotionally, fuck you. You own me. I'm trapped here.
Go. I felt go.
I would say that's if he had known that going in, he might be more okay with it. All right. Spotify gonna pimp me, but I'm gonna pimp them as hard as I can until this contract is up and then it's done.
Yeah.
And I felt bad when I was looking at the comments. I was like, yo, we're pretty nuanced and when we talk about things. Like we actually read and we actually watch the videos. Unless we're doing feelings, no facts. Like, and something like this it's important because it affects us all. And the comments were so fucked up. And I was like, well, man, maybe we fundamentally misunderstood, you know, what Joe was trying to say, or maybe we didn't read or like listen to or watch something that he was trying to say. Maybe we got this wrong. And then I heard from the grapevine that Joe asked Spotify for $250 million.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Wait, what?
Is this a reliable grapevine?
This is a reliable grapevine that he asked Spotify for $250 million. So everybody in the comments, shut the fuck up. This goofy out here talking about $250 million. $250 million?
Yo, that business education he was talking about, he's getting, you need to keep educating, buddy.
Bruh.
$250 million?
Wait, what?
They wouldn't even give you a fucking Rolex
fucking
Submariner. You want
serious?
$250 million?
His line of thinking is, I outperform all the Ringer podcasts. This is what they got. I should get that. I don't even think he's comparing himself to Rogan. I think
I don't think
Rogan.
so either.
I think his and I don't think that's actually. If I pull back, I can kind of see where he's thinking. I blow all these podcasts.
This
out of the
alleged.
water.
I can't say it's a fact. This is alleged. You know what I mean? Now, Usually that's enough information for the media to run wild.
I gotta hear how he came to this number. So.
I think it's the Ringer. Ringer was 250 million,
Ringer
right?
Comes with a bunch of shows.
Well,
To
y'all
him,
didn't
he-
see the list like how that girl did Dr. Dre's ex-wife. Though.
Hey, Taylor, that's
Yo,
great.
that's funny. Joe got Dr. Dre's ex-wife's lawyer
Exactly what's
to sign the
happening.
contract, bro. Yo, what's more ludicrous? Dr. Dre's ex-wife, she sounds mad reasonable after Joe was asking for $250 million, right?
10 times the amount.
Pay her.
Oh my god!
At least she was married to the man.
Oh my god! Wow.
$250 million, bro. I think that's more than Rogan got. You
Yeah,
gotta
it
be
is.
crazy to ask for that. I think that's more than Rogan got. So this is what we were talking about not truly understanding how corporations operate and the dynamics within a corporation. And that was my criticism in that video. And thank you so much, Joseph Budden, for making me right. I appreciate it. I think that's all. Is there anything else?
I guess my only thing is not even Joe Budden, whoever's listening, the only thing I want the fans who like listen to us who get it is when you sign a contract, know as much as you can about this deal when you go into it. And then do everything you can on the front end to get what you can out of them. And if that don't work for you, start a Patreon.
Yeah, because look, $50 million. Bro.
I want the camera on Black Alex right now.
I really can't understand that.
$250 million is crazy. Now, I will say this. I applaud anyone that is creating leverage on an independent platform. That's Joe Budden. That's us. That's Joe Rogan. And creating enough leverage where those contracts that they sign with mainstream media, because we should be able to operate with mainstream media. We should be able to blend. We should just do it in a way that's fair for us, right? I applaud them that are trying to create those contracts where they are less owned, where there is more freedom to operate. And you earn that freedom by creating the leverage yourself.
Joe Budden's best shot at $250 million is go independent. The next time somebody tries to buy you out, that shit was going to be a lot of money because he's going to create something independently that works. And when it works, somebody wants to buy you and then own your shit.
100%.
All right, now you're going to have to pay.
Joe and them could start a Patreon and probably make more money than they were making, or at least the same amount of money than they were making at Spotify. I bet you. I think they have a devout fan base, and I think that they could do well on Patreon because people are already willing to pay for Spotify. But I do applaud anybody that's trying to do it because everything that I've done in my stand-up career has been outside for the purposes of my own success. The reason I share it with other comics is because I want to create a situation where they can have independence and leverage and then use that leverage to get very fair contracts with mainstream media. Because we shouldn't have to fight mainstream media. The ideal situation is that we work together, but we bring people, they bring people. And if we're both bringing people, we both got to get paid and we both got to have freedom.
Yeah.
You know what? I commend them, even though I do think the number's a little ridiculous. I commend them for like that feeling of value and saying, hey, if you guys don't give me what I think I'm worth, I'm out of here. So I commend them for that because it also sets the benchmark for everybody who comes after you.
Yep.
So it's like it adds a little value to, let's say, hip hop or music podcasts where it's like, yo, look at what I did. And now you can value yourself within that range.
You create your own value.
Yes.
Someone else validates
So
the value.
I'll give them that. But, whoa, I need to see how you came to that.
No, that's absurd. $250 million is absolutely absurd. Maybe it was $250 million for all the podcasts that would operate under him.
Maybe the 360 for him and everybody on the podcast.
Everybody else, this, that, the other. But it's still an absurd amount of money. Like, you just don't have enough eyeballs for it. But look, man, you know.
He could have the biggest Patreon in the world. I'm curious to know those numbers. Do that.
Go try it. Anyway, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for listening. We do have a Patreon episode. Happens to be the biggest comedy Patreon in the world. No big deal. Not a big deal. You know what I mean? Only the biggest one in our field of interest. That's just what we do.
That's how we do.
I mean, that's just no big deal.